What is up, RC enthusiasts? Oh yes, I'm back here again. Sorry for the delay. It's been a while since I made content. I think it's been like 2 weeks since I put something up, so yeah, sorry about that. I've been busy building something. Put a little sneak peek right here. Maybe you can guess what that is. But anyway, we're here for the brother of these guys right here. This RTR version right here is the newer updated RTR. This kit version right here is one of the original older kits that still came with plastic stuff. Actually, this kit right here isn't even equivalent to this RTR nowadays, which has metal ring and pinion gears and runs a lot better out the box for sure. But today, we are here for this kit metal version right here. So this is the top of the WPL line right here. This is what you're going to want to get if you plan to abuse these things a little bit more than just trailing around your desks and stuff. So let's get to it. Let's get building this KM kit right here. And I'm going to try to get as detailed as I could possibly get. And I am going to install the original version 3 WPL electronics into this thing. So it's going to be a full WPL build. So you can see how well these things run just with full WPL everything. So let's go ahead and let's build this sucker. Well, here's the red body it comes with. I am going to change this one to the white one because I want to make the white one, the RTR one, the KM. So I'm just going to swap the bodies over and have the red one as the RTR and the white one as the KM. And here's some of the parts right here. Of course, right here you have your kit soft tires. Very soft tires for you guys. There's going to be your metal parts for this one. Weirdly, it's inside an RBRC bag, but they are companies that work together, so maybe they're the ones who assembled the metal kit for them. Here's your instructions right here. And of course your screw bag. Your black chassis rails, how you know you have a newer kit. And this one, this is the kit metal, so it does come with this 2-speed with a 370 motor and a servo for shifting. And weirdly, it also came with this regular 180 size motor, so I have a spare 180 now, which is cool because I still do use this motor on some of my WPLs. Of course, your window stuff, the rest of your cab, the rear bed cab, or whatever they call these covers, camper shells. Metal axles. And of course, this is all important for crawling around, trailing around without rolling over and tipping over, are the wheel weights. So that's all KM style right there. This other bag just has your links and suspension parts. So let's get to building. First, I think we'll go ahead and tackle the hard part. We're going to go ahead and do the axles. So let's go ahead and build these, and let's see if we can get these to be built without binding, because I know some people have had issues with binding, but I have been able to resolve a lot of my binding issues just by assembling these correctly or with a little bit more care. Alright, so these are 2 bags right here that we're mainly going to need. We're going to need some of the bearings that are in here. We're going to need all this, these gears, all these bushings. These 2 rods right here are going to be your axle rods. You're going to need these 2 axle apart. We need to unscrew that. And there you go. This is the rear axle, by the way. So this is the front axle right here. You can tell because it's got where the steering hub's attached to. This is why I was a little bit worried about the setting right here for this, because there's only 3 of these, and this hub uses one of these on the outside, like so, and one of them on the inside. So yeah, as of now I seem to, oh no, not missing, here it is. It's underneath this bag, so complete for that one. So that's how that goes on there. We'll continue on that later. Let's get to this rear axle right here. So how this is assembled, you get the longer of the 2, and that's what goes in here, like so. Then you need to attach one of these, your ring gear. It attaches this way because you can tell the flat spot right there. I'm not sure if I'm getting this on camera right. But there's a flat spot right there where this hole aligns to for the grub screw. And the grub screws are inside this bag right here. They're little black screws. So we slide this onto here. Let's get some grub screws out of this thing and some bearings because we're going to need all that. So we'll just open this bag, have it all out here. They even provide you with an Allen key that fits this grub screw already. And I recommend putting some Loctite on this when you're done doing this. But I'm just going to show you the assembly, and I'll do all the Loctiting and greasing afterwards because that's just going to take time and we can do that off camera. So I put the hole in there and it's going to be on that grooved area. You can tell once it gets there because the gear will stay in place. And for now, you don't want to tighten this all the way. You want the gear to move around a little bit. So you see the gear moves around in there a little bit. That's good. Leave it like that for now. Then you're going to get 2 bearings, these smaller bearings on each side. Like so. You're going to get this hex out drive right here. And that goes on here like so. And that also requires a grub screw in that hole right there. And remember, I can't emphasize enough, you're going to want to Loctite these once you're done with your setup. You're going to want to make sure everything works together first before you Loctite all this. And I'll show you what I mean by that right now. And I'm done assembling the rest of this. So as you can tell, I'm leaving it loose enough to slide around. Loose enough to slide around. Put the other shaft on the other side, or the other hex on this side with the 2 bearings. Alright, I got this whole assembly assembled. You're going to want to push both the bearings out towards each corner, like so. And that sits in here. Like so. There you go, so you can see we have it in there. But now it seems like the grub screws are too long, because when I install it onto the case, I'm actually hitting the case with that grub screw. It's actually grinding on the case when it hits it. See that? You can hear that click, click, click. That's it. Grub screw touching the case on both sides. I guess now I'm just going to have to grind down these grub screws a little bit to make it work properly. So if that happens to you, that's a fix right there. You can grind these down or use smaller grub screws. What I'm going to do is carefully just grind it down so I don't damage it. And how I install these, just for a tip, is before you tighten these down and Loctite them, use blue Loctite by the way, so you're not getting stuck for good on there with red Loctite. But go ahead and Loctite these on, but make sure when it's loose like this, you push them out towards their corners as far as possible. So the one on this side, you're going to want to push this way and then lock the grub screw like that. And the one on this side, you want to pull it out this way and then lock the grub screw like that. So that way it's as most extended as it can possibly be and it won't be binding on anything. The center one, still leave it loose for now because we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to get this to mesh properly with your pinion gear. So let's go ahead and I'll get this grinded down and let's get this in the case. Alright, so these grub screws seem to be the same size as the original grub screws. It's just that the shaft now, they didn't grind it down enough for the part where it sits onto the shaft. The flat spot is not ground down enough to make this sit flush. So I had to grind down the ones on the axles, but now it's spinning freely. So let's get this together. And so you can tell it spins. A little bit of rubbing still. You can still kind of hear that grub screw rubbing on the metal, but that'll wear out eventually. It'll wear itself in. And the speed that's spinning at, you really won't notice that too much. But anyways, you can tell these move in and out because I left this grub screw right here loose. So I can adjust this pinion gear. So let's get this pinion where it belongs. Now you need 2 of these smaller bearings. One goes on the inside, one goes on the outside right here. And this, the other one doesn't stay in there because. I recommend putting some marine grease in here and greasing this all up before you assemble it. And that just goes in like so. And now we're going to put it, you can tell it's cocked to one side. That's the side that's going to go into the open space right here. So like that. And as you can tell, there's really no binding going on. Everything spins freely. I like that. Now, if you don't like the way that fits, as you can tell, that's unpainted on this side and it's painted on this side. You want it to give it a little bit more space. The paint will give you some of that space right there, so you can just install it on this side. And then you'll even have a more looser fit. So I actually like the way that feels. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this grub screw right here. Let's go ahead and tighten that. Don't forget to get some Loctite on this. Like I said, I'm just going to dry fit everything right here so it's easier to demo. There you go, now it's tight. At this time I would say put a dab of marine grease in here, and you're going to close it all up. Here's the little case. Now this case usually doesn't fit straight on here. In this case it looks like it will, but sometimes these little red tabs right here on here that you see, sometimes you have to grind the paint off of those tabs. But once you do, it should slide in there perfectly. So now I'm going to get my WPL cover on here with the WPL logo the right side up. And I'm going to get these fine threaded screws out of this bag that came with the metal axles, and then screw all 4 of them in here, and that's going to complete this axle build. And we'll get to the front one, and I'll show you the little quirks into building the front one to not get any binding with that. So let me fully assemble this real quick, show you what it looks like, and we'll get to the front one. So that's good for that one. Went together well. Another complete WPL assembly for me that went well. So let's get to the front shaft. Alright, for this assembly you're going to need these 2 pieces right here. You're going to need this. You're going to need 4 of these little bearings right here. You're going to need, well actually the grub screws come in here. You're going to need these. These are for your steering hubs. These are your steering hexes. The grub screws already come in that one. And your ring and pinion gear. And your grub screw for your ring gear. So yeah, this one's a little bit more involved. And you're going to need the steering arms too, or your steering hubs. This one I assembled earlier for you guys with those 2 bearings. Get the other 2 big bearings in there right now. One on the inside, right, like so. Make sure it slides all the way in there so nothing binds, everything's all properly in there. Could use some marine grease on this too. There you go. So for this one, same thing. On the shaft, you're just going to line that shaft up in here, make sure it's centered, so you know which way to enter the ring gear. So as you can tell right there, that's pretty much the position you're going to want. Ring gear is going to go on like so on there. And then slide that on there. And there you go. And the grub screw goes in there. Now remember, leave it loose. Alright, now these 2 just go on either end of this, just kind of like the other hexes that went into this right here. These ones just have a U-joint on them because it's for steering. So same thing, just in there, and a grub screw in there on the flat spot. Alright, now that we have the bearings on here now, push them out towards each corner. Now we're going to put them in the housing right here. Like so. And at this point you're going to want to put some marine grease on all the bearings and everything, and even the shaft to keep it from rusting. So I'll just go ahead and lube that all up with marine grease and everything, but like I said, I'm going to do it afterwards for this. It's just all demo for you guys. So let's put the top half on. There you go. Now we have that part. Now what you're going to need here is, that's why you're not going to put any screws in, is you're going to need to install this. Now this is going to need to face this way with the steering hubs up front like this. Because like earlier I had the hub facing to the left, or this pumpkin facing to the left, so that this will orientate the right way and spin the wheels the right way. When you're looking from the back of the vehicle, the pumpkin in the rear should be towards the left, and when you're looking from the front of the vehicle, the pumpkin should be to the left as well. So now I'm going to install this part. All you need is to slip this into this area right here, and then use one of these little bushings, little copper bushings right here, into place. and a screw on top. It's going to be one of these shorter silver screws. It's going to go up there. Carefully find the thread with your finger. I'd like to do it finger first so that you don't strip the threads or anything. So that's already in there. Gonna do the bottom side. And get the screw. Oh, where did it go? There it went. We'll get that on there. There you go. And don't forget, lock tight before putting these on and go ahead and tighten them up. Alright, so now once you assembled both the steering knuckles into place, now you're just going to make sure nothing's binding. Everything moves freely. And this moves freely. Everything feels good. Now if it doesn't, if everything's kind of binding a little bit here at this stage, you can see all the grub screws right here. I recommend going through all these grub screws right here and loosening them all. Take the grub screws, loosen them. Loosen that one. Once you do that, just move everything around. Steer the steering knuckles back and forth until everything frees up. And usually by doing that, you get this whole shaft to sit in the right location. And now you can just go ahead and make sure to hold this gear from behind, like I am right here. And then go ahead and tighten everything at this point. Because everything is nice and set now. And there you go. Everything should be moving freely. Nothing should be binded. Oh, this one feels like I tightened that in the wrong spot. Let's go ahead and make this free. There you go. So now that's free as well. And as you can tell, everything spins, nothing is binding. So everything's good. Now same thing. The two bearings in here that you want to grease with some marine grease. Get them in there. And you're going to want to put the pinion gear in there. Oh, bearing came back out. Well, I guess the one on the outside doesn't matter. You could always put that in later. But now you're going to want this to be sitting like this. This back here. And cover up front. Now go ahead and tighten that all up. Well, here we are, fully assembled. As you can tell, no binding, everything spins freely. I can spin it from here. So everything's moving good. So this is how they're going to be oriented right here. This is going to be the rear axle. Pumpkin's going to be facing that way. This is going to be the front right here. Pumpkin's going to be facing this way. So that's what it's going to look like, front to rear, once it's assembled. So let's go ahead, and from here, we'll continue on. So now we got to install these axle trusses, which goes on these like so, with the pumpkin facing the front right here for the front. These go in the back for the suspension mounts and the 4-link mounts. And the rear one, the pumpkin goes towards the back, and the rear one goes like so, with all the mounts in front of it. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 4 screws on there, and then you have backing plates right here which are threaded for the screws to go in. And you're just going to use some of these fine threaded screws right here to go through this and all the way through this to this threaded part right here in the bottom. I'll show you what it looks like once I get it assembled. Alright, now that we have this assembled, you can tell us how it looks like right there. And then for the front one, so it looks like right there. These two right here are actually just imitation drum brakes that just go on here. Oops, wrong way. And that's how that goes.